Hey, yo, what's going on? It's your boy, man, in the wild. Just in my thoughts about what you see on the screen. That damn Kamala finally giving an interview. Um, and she's been ducking and dodging questions, and which is actually very unpresidential, by the way. But she's got a lot of people behind that whole, she's a black woman, so you got to elect a black woman in the office just because she's running, which is like one of the dumbest logics. Because I mean, we all got duped with Barack, because I know I did. And, it didn't take me that long to get off of him because Guantanamo Bay, that pissed me off. I was really Muslim back then, and what is it? My homeboy, he had said he was off of Barack because he ran off of the whole transparency of the government. That any bill that's going to be put out there, the people are going to have access to it before it gets voted on and all of that. And as soon as this nigga gets in the office, he's like, "Nah, I'm just playing. I ain't doing that shit." So it's like that's what panderers do. And Kamala's clearly a panderer. Having all these black celebrities and Megan Thee Stallion getting up there and all of that shit. It's just like, hey, yo, fool me once, shame on me, or shame on you, my bad. Fool me twice. That's your fault when you get duped multiple times. And that's exactly what we got going on here. But here she goes with a media friendly, questioner, to see what she actually has to say. Because like I said, she's been ducking for a while now, so I was interested to see what she had to say, but we're gonna talk about it.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. Bus tour is well underway here in Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. In a way that generations
and what she says with this new way forward, like it just baffles me, every time, because how the fuck we gonna have a new way forward from you? Because you're in there right now, and you're obviously the president um, figure. Because I mean, Biden hasn't been with us for years now. So what the fuck is this way forward? Like, yo, know when you're listening to somebody that's full of shit. Know when you're listening, because she asked her a direct question. What do you plan to do the first day? And then here you go with this roundabout priorities and this, that, and like you throwing out keywords and shit. You just throw out keywords. That's all she does.
Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism.
Hope and optimism. Sadly, what the fuck are you
in the
talking
last
about?
decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans.
Yo, the character and strength of who we are as Americans. So she asked you what you're going to do first day. This is still answering that question. What the fuck does Trump have to do with what you're going to do the first day if you're elected? Right? Because that was one of the big main takeaways from the damn DNC shit. Where they said the words inflation and like housing crisis and energy and all that shit wasn't named but a few times. A couple of them reached double digits, but Trump's name was mentioned over 100 some times at one point. And you want to talk about diminishing character and all of this shit. Yo, we didn't have one war started under this motherfucker. If you want to talk about somebody of character, not one war got started. And we got out of shit. But as soon as these motherfuckers get in office, man, we got all kinds of conflicts. These motherfuckers couldn't wait to start pushing motherfucking buttons. And using American lives as cannon fodder. Because I do believe, even though I do, the world is a stage. This shit is a production. But, sometimes real blood does get shed on it just because, the shit has to play out certain ways. And when it comes to them wars and all of that shit, yeah, these motherfuckers is playing with people's lives. Chick want to talk about some character. Get the fuck out of here.
Really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit.
All this what we're going to do, bitch, do the shit now. Do the shit now. Because whenever somebody's in a position to do something now, and they talk about the future, they're never going to do that. They're simply not. Especially, and okay, I could see it if it was something that was, small and, insignificant, to an extent, right? But you see how these motherfuckers done cracked down on the border leading up to this damn election. They done did some other shit to where they trying to make headway with it to make the numbers look good for the moment, right? But the fact that y'all niggas is talking about a plan to do it on day one and all of this other, she's full of shit. And does not give a fuck about you.
$6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the Vice President's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota. To have a federal partner in this, unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost.
Duh.
People, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID.
That was some bullshit.
The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis.
So again, whenever you want to talk about seeing through somebody's bullshit, you got to understand that somebody is willing to lie to gain some type of benefit, right? Because usually, the good-hearted people that end up getting duped, their brains ain't wired to be on bullshit. So when bullshit happens, they can't really see it, right? And that's kind of what we're dealing with when it comes to anybody supporting this, because when you clearly clearly bite somebody else's style right after them, and you're in the same competition, I mean, it's clear that you know that whatever you got going on ain't shit. So you got to attach yourself to somebody else, and that's what a narcissist does, is they leech on to shit. So that's strike one. Strike two is you project. They'll project their failures, onto you. Their insecurities onto you. And that can, if you start to believe that yourself, you end up getting spun in the bullshit ass web. That's strike two. And then strike three to me, even though there's more criteria that you got to meet, but fuck that. This is man in the wild criteria. So, strike three would be the blame shifting. You want to sit here and blame somebody else, for everything, but never blame yourself. That's, you're out of there. But she wants to sit here and blame the damn pandemic numbers and all of this shit on mismanagement by Trump. Like, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make any sense, really. Especially when before y'all niggas got into office, everything was actually going pretty smoothly for the situation. Even though it was fucked up, even though they was rationing out the meats and all this stuff, man, I had to snap one time because I don't eat pork, but y'all motherfuckers won't let me get double chicken, double, like a two whatever chicken that I can't get for the pork, and I had to spaz out over it. But even for what we was going through, shit wasn't that bad. And then these motherfuckers get into office and just start like hacks on everything that this motherfucker built up for us. All type of business connections this nigga has set up for us, because he's a businessman and America is a business. And he ran that business very well. Whereas these motherfuckers ran that shit to the ground. But best believe that they're okay though. They're okay. With all this crazy shit, they're just fine. They're just fine. Giving zero fucks about you.
When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation.
No. We're going to talk about reality now. Fuck that. You want to talk about down to 3%. It's down to 3% since. It ain't down to 3% and all. Like, what the fuck? Down from what though? You ain't even say down from what? Down 3% from what? Right? And the from what is, as soon as these motherfuckers got into office, I'm saying, seen a little pie chart, motherfucker talking, not a pie chart, a little graph talking about the shit. From when they came into office, the shit done went up 20%. But just within the last, maybe the last 6 months, because I don't think, it might have been the whole year. I don't know. But that's when the damn 2 to 3%, what the fuck she's talking about. So you're not going to mention the other 17, 18% missing. Down 3% from what? Like, get the fuck out of my face, man. Like, don't buy into the fact that identity politics and all of that shit, man. Just listen to a motherfucker when they talk. And it either sits well or it don't. And there's no motherfucking way, that anything that this woman says can sit well with you, given the fact that there's no substance behind it.
The world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years. What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can.
Yeah, so that's been debunked because motherfuckers will just raise their prices up $25,000 and it won't really do shit. Like the shit ain't gonna do shit. And you want to talk about like proposals for the future for day one? It comes back to it. You're already in the motherfucking White House. She's already in the motherfucking White House. There's no like there's how the fuck can you wait and expect somebody to wait? You know, because we're talking about something as major as inflation. I think I got away from this earlier. But we're talking about something as major as inflation. We're talking about something as major as the border control. You know, we're talking about, you know, housing being ridiculous. I mean, and in her home city, her home state, and all of that shit is like the worst. You know, so that's something that can be addressed now. That if you're a leader, you would address that shit now. If it was something that you was really gonna do.
Must have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation
So, hold on, brought inflation
down to less than 3%.
Okay, so yeah, you was about to say that bullshit. That's what I thought you was about to say. Yo, the inflation went up 20-some% under y'all. This administration is literally what caused the whole motherfucking price crisis that we got going on. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, because people want to say, man, the president ain't got nothing to do with the price of this, the price of that. Yo, like I said, the president is the CEO of the corporation called America. You understand? The corporation of America is a business. You know, we sell stuff, we buy stuff. You know, we as America, you know, you have all the licenses for stuff, so you manage how, you know, goods and shit go here, go there, and all of that type of shit. America is a company, you know, and when we had the businessman running this shit, like I said, the shit was smooth. But then here these motherfuckers go and run that shit into the ground and then try to get you to believe that we're gonna thrive underneath the same shit. You know, because she didn't get away from Bidenomics. She supports it. So to support Bidenomics supports exactly what the fuck we're going through, and worse, because you'll have another 4 years of this shit. You know, like giving that blind, and this is about mainly that blind support shit because of, you know, the gender, because of the race. You know, where she's not even black, because it's literally an impossibility given the fact that her pops is Jamaican, born in Jamaica. You know, so off top, he's not technically black, and her mom is Indian, so that's Caucasian. So, like, there's no way for that to be possible. I don't care if she went to a HBCU. I went to a HBCU once in my life, and there was white people up there. It was Asian people up there. It don't matter. HBCUs don't deny people because they're not quote unquote black. You know, she joined a sorority. Oh my God, she's a Greek. Oh my goodness. You know, but she's never identified with the black part of anything. It's always been Indian. You know, so here comes Biden. You ain't black if you don't vote for me. You know, and here come all of these Ricky Smileys and all of these clowns, you know, talking about to block people like me, you know, so people won't be able to hear the real shit about who she is, what she is, and all of that. Because if you're going to sit here and try to get me to believe a certain thing and I know it's a lie, I'll never believe anything else you got to say. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. We give people way too much leash.
50%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited, I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some...
And the thing is, okay, she asked her, are you in support of Bidenomics? And she went on to ramble, on a few successes, quote unquote successes. But then again, when you're a liar, it's difficult to believe anything that comes out of the mouth. So it's kind of, whatever. But whenever somebody asks a yes or no question, because that's a yes or no question, that's a yes or no question. And I'm pretty sure that if somebody who wasn't, because this lady's definitely softballing questions up there, but are you in support of Bidenomics? Like, yes or no? It's like whenever somebody doesn't say yes or no, they're not trying to officially tie themselves to that, to that answer, because that'd have been a sound clip. So you're in support of Bidenomics? Yes, I am. Boom, you stuck with it, right? But if you answer the question in the way she just did, throwing out a whole bunch of words, that little word salad keyword shit, you still got some wiggle room with it. You want some wiggle room when you don't answer yes or no with a yes or no question. That's the sign of a deceiver.
On where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, there is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said...
So she just said, as vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I won't ban fracking. So if you can do the same shit, like not do the same shit for vice president, president type, you could have been did shit as vice president instead of having to wait. And you want to talk about recovering and all of this shit. Like, yo, so what the fuck? You ain't doing shit now? You just campaigning? You're not even doing your vice presidential duties? But that's a whole other discussion, because about that shit, yo, that's like one of those no-show jobs for the mob and shit.
Asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me.
Like, yo, you hear all of this shit, all of the answer that she gave, and all she asked her was, what made you change your mind on fracking? That's it. You know, and again, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind. Hell, I didn't used to fuck with Trump. You know, because I believed the propaganda type. You know, but, you know, as a grown up, you know, you got to be willing to admit you got duped and then keep it pushing. You know, you're allowed to change your stances. You know, but how you go about it is you know, how you go about explaining shit and all of that type. Like, when you get asked, why did you change your mind on something? You give an answer, a direct answer. You don't go around talking about my values have not changed. Like, then nobody asked you if your values changed. I asked you what made you change your mind. So that means what's on your mind, right, is that people know that you full of shit, and you got to be on that, what is it? You don't trust the motherfucker to tell you to trust them type shit. Yeah, she's saying her values have not changed, and you know, I believe that to be true to an extent. You know, because she's always been who she is, and she'll always be who she's gonna be type. But for her to give that answer with that question, shit don't match.
From my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, excuse me, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay.
And it's funny because she literally said the same shit that she just said, meaning that she ain't got shit to say. Because usually when somebody asks you the same type of question, you know, you're able to build because, you know, you actually have something to stand on. She ain't got shit.
Another issue, big one, is immigration. As vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. Mm-hmm. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because
and I'm gonna tell you like this, you full of shit, because the border patrol will be putting that shit on blast that's what he did. You know, but to go to what he said, to go to what Trump said, he was like, when it came down to the border, I didn't need a bill to protect the border. I just protected it. You understand? Because like, you want to sit here and talk about, because she done came out of her mouth, man, want to decriminalize illegal immigration, right? They're not criminals, you know. So you have a vice president who used to be a prosecutor and attorney general of California wants to decriminalize a crime, but then talk about how you're going to fix it and then blame it on Trump that it didn't get done. Like, yo, this shit sounded so stupid as I said it. I gotta, go back and see what it sounded like when got like hearing it. But it sounded pretty fucking dumb to me, right? And this is what she'll have you believe, right? Is that none of it's their fault. Opening the border was Trump's fault. Having immigrants out here, like, not to say that all of them are bad. Of course, there's, good and bad amongst damn near everybody, and like every different group and all of that shit. But the ones that are bad are doing horrible shit. The people that, like, they're getting government assistance in ways that, a regular American can't get, which is fucked up. So now to say that you had a way to fix the problem you caused, but you blaming it on the opposition for it not getting done, like, this shit. Y'all don't believe this chick.
They're working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
I don't know. I haven't done any research on it. Don't really know. But does fentanyl only come from beyond the border? Or, don't they make that shit here too? I don't know. Yeah, I gotta actually, and I'm being sarcastic and serious at the same time, because, like, I know it's some bullshit, but then again I don't, but then I know, because I know who I'm dealing with.
Push that legislation again. I just want to ask
Not only push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
just one other question about something that you said in 2019 when you first ran.
So Joe couldn't push it to make sure it came to his desk for him to sign it? And then for you to put the stamp because you got his rubber stamp since he, has since retired. Quotations. Fuck out of here. How the fuck, like reading that shit, Harris blames Trump for killing bipartisan border bill. Like, what's the number of the bill? What's the name of the bill, man? What's the contents of this bill? You ain't gonna get that to us to look up, are you?
A debate, you raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
Llegaron los ahorros de Labor Day a
Once we have laws that have to be followed and enforced, that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs.
Ain't nobody asking you about that shit. There was a little ad that got popped up in there, but the question that she asked, was about the whole decriminalization of illegals. And you said that all these actions need to have consequences. So how the fuck are there so many people here in these various cities, these little safe haven type shit? That's just a word for it. It's escaped me at this point. But sanctuary. These sanctuary cities, and though they're all criminals, but they're getting paid by the government to be here. And then you immediately flip the shit over to what you've done in the past and all of this shit. Don't nobody give a fuck about that. What are you doing right now? Besides blaming somebody else for your fuck up.
And human beings, I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws. And I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
As president going forward, so what about as vice fucking president now? You understand? As the actual, you the commander in chief. Fuck the bullshit. As acting president now, and you talking about this going forward shit again. Like, this is fucking stupid. You know, it's stupid that there's really people that actually will refuse to try to understand this point of view. You know, can't even acknowledge it. And that's scary. That's very scary. You know, because a rational mind can see through all of this shit. You know, but the fact that there's so many people that won't, you know, and it's either one or two ways. The motherfucker is actually insane and they can't grab nothing. They just see the identity, and that's just kind of how it goes. You know, they are worse than the tunnel vision shit. Like, they got one of those kaleidoscopes attached to their head type shit, and they just see exactly what's in front of them, and it's all, you know, fantasy shit, right? Or people that are benefiting from it, like the Greeks, you know, because if you any type of Greek, I guarantee, you know, they make sure to take care of their own. You know, since she's an AKA, you know, all of them, definitely look out for each other. So that'll be another reason why somebody would really fuck with her like that. You know, but even still, it's almost like, damn, man, that lets you know how fucked up shit is when people that would follow some bullshit just because of that title, and it extends, you know, all the way through to that. I guess, like, it's disheartening.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real.
See, and again, when you've already said my values have not changed, you already said that shit. Right? And then you said the shit before like it was some brand new information, like it was some groundbreaking shit. You know, check this. You even had like a little head wag, I believe, with it. You know, but now here you go saying again, my values have not changed. That means that you trying to push a message, man. You want some bullshit. She's on some bullshit, man. They both got a face on like they don't believe that shit.
That it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. As an example, that value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed. So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you, one of the aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone.
Of course.
I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you?
Yo, she really has like a long-winded way to not say shit. You know, like, granted, yeah, you know, you brought it together a little bit at the end, but like all of the shit that you said, like it just doesn't mesh with reality. You know, it simply doesn't mesh with reality. And if you, I don't know, how can I put this? When you're trying to win something, um, like win the hearts of people, try to get people to see your side and all of this other type of stuff, like in that type of position to be president, less is more. So because the more you talk, the easier the chance is for you to, have some slip ups and all of that type of shit, saying some dumb shit. Less is more. You would just answer the question, and then if you're genuine, you can build upon that, but you would answer the question. Again, we have another question unanswered, for real, for real.
Like a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
yes,
in mind?
I would. No one in particular in mind. We got 68 days to go with this election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any?
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
So, same old tired playbook, you know what I'm saying, and that's it. And they're just willing to move on to the next question, because if somebody, what is it? You're trying to get to the bottom of things. Like, this is what this type of interview is, right? To make sure that we get to the bottom of it. And she hasn't talked about being black up until this point. And it's been Indian, and like I said, Jamaican father, born in Jamaica. Even though he comes to America, he's not black. He's Jamaican because he has a nationality. Black folks, we only get a race. So, he's Jamaican. So then mom's Indian, and Indian is labeled as Caucasian. So, you have a Caucasian Jamaican, right? And she was born in, America. So, I mean, technically, she's Caucasian or Jamaican. That's not black. It's simply not. So that alone, warrants some questions and all of this, especially when her family's is talking about telling her basically to stop doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? But she persists. Like, she had long-winded shit to say about everything else. But you're not gonna sit there, you know what I'm saying, and defend your blackness. Like, come on. And hanging out with the boule don't count, in my opinion.
Let's talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7th, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution, where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have...
October 8th, almost a year ago. And shit, okay. So again, you're asked a direct question. And then you go into some emotional shit. You go into some emotional shit without answering a fucking thing. I mean, you're basically, you're doing that lawyer shit. And you're not good at it.
Security and self-determination and dignity.
Oh my goodness, she's
Governor Walz,
not that good at it. So this is the third part of the interview. Let's see where they keep on going from here.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak...
What the fuck does that have to do with the question that you just got asked? Did you or did you not misspeak? That's it. You say yes, you say no, you provide an explanation, you keep it pushing. Right? But when you don't want to answer a question, right, you make sure to play on whatever heartstring that you can play on around anybody that's listening. And with them heartstrings, turn into puppet strings, because then they can pull you any which direction they want to. You understand? So, strike one.
Especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war. Yeah. Did you misspeak, as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service.
Bro, why the fuck would anybody attack your kids hugging you or your dog? Like, and if people do that, like, depending on the moment, like, are you genuine? Like, that's up to them to know who you really are. But if you, claim to have been somewhere, because I'm not even in the military, but I will say this. I played college football. So I wasn't D1, but it was AA. Right? And so whenever I let it be known, I went D1, and I make sure to say it was AA. You know, I'm not gonna sit there and act like that I play, you know what I'm saying, in the Big Ten or, you know what I'm saying, SEC and all of that type of shit. I'm not even gonna let that even be a thought on somebody's mind, you know. So for the military, I know it's way deeper than that. Way deeper. You know, so for somebody to actually come out of their mouth and say that, like, you know that that's disrespectful as fuck. Because that's a blatant lie. That's a blatant lie. You know, so, and when somebody talks about, you know, lying and all of that type of shit, you want to talk about my grammar and all of this shit, man, listen, if you do any type of public speaking, you got your grammar in order. Just like whenever he said something about his white guy tacos and then they show the actual recipe that this motherfucker used to win a cooking competition and all, like, yo, you full of shit.
In any way, I never have, and I never will.
I just, one other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
You full of shit.
This was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is,
Do you?
I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell and families
Yo,
don't.
and he's full of shit. He's full of shit because he didn't own up to the first question mistake. He just spoke around that shit. So yeah, it's not looking too good, buddy, because you just sat here and lied to people's faces, right? Right after you ran around a circle about another lie being told and tried to talk about some bad grammar. The fuck out of me and stop it. Because I believe when he said it, if I'm not mistaken, like he was excited when he said that shit. Right? He was man, pumped up when he said that shit. He was fired up at least. It was something like to that extent. And as a governor or somebody who speaks publicly, you should know what the fuck you're saying, and that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse at all.
This and I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there, and I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Vice President Harris.
Like, what the fuck? Like, an abortion ban and deny people a chance to have a beautiful child and all of this. What the fuck did you just say? Like, what did you really just say? Because nobody's trying to ban abortions. Nobody's trying to deny the IVF shit. So, like, how is it, like, this is what their talking points are. Like, if all of their talking points are clearly debunked, in a sense, you know, like, well, that's just not true. That's just not true. That, like, it is clearly not true or not possible, not, you know, happening, just whatever. Like, man, and then once they get in office, if they do, right, shit's gonna be just as fucked up as it is now. Because you can't tell me that this shit is good for, you know, the majority. You know, because for the most part, people just want to be able to, you know, be in a position, to not bust their ass and still have like less than nothing. You know, and that's the part where it's like, man, you just want to bust your ass and get what, be able to hold your head high type shit. And we had that at one point. Not under these motherfuckers.
Chris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that.
See, and here you go. So, yeah. So, you, Kamala Harris, just sat there and said that basically I'm okay with lying to the people. Because he's loyal, so I'm loyal. Right? He's, giving service. I'm proud to have been, with him, member with him, and all this other shit. And then immediately after that, you bring up your adversary, and then that's the face you got on. You understand? Like, it's like man, if your heart is attached, it's difficult to see past it. If your heart is attached, it's difficult to really grab that, you're being duped type shit, because, you're too connected. But this lady stood there and said, Joe Biden is cool. Ain't nothing wrong with Joe. He's as smart as a whip. He's sharp. He's this, he's that. The motherfucker can't get up a flight of stairs, can't stay on a bike, couldn't finish a sentence, but you steadily saying Joe Biden is cool. And then when you confronted about, do you feel good about that? Are you cool about that? Yes, I was okay with lying to these motherfuckers about what was going on. Because it had to be she was running the shit the whole time anyway. Because ain't no way. If he couldn't form a sentence, right? If he couldn't complete a thought, like, how the fuck, like, when you get old and all of that, and that's just where the shit goes sometimes. But, like, the motherfucker couldn't complete a thought damn near ever. Like, he was, like, he couldn't finish sentences and shit. Like, it was a running joke. Like, people, the shit, and it was funny enough because, it's entertainment. But now here we are. Like I said, I got into it because, people that I love and care about is just getting duped by some bullshit. So it's like, you got to say something. Speak to y'all because I fuck with y'all and y'all fuck with me because they ain't listening to me.
And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz for President of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years.
See, and the reason why I say the softball type shit, you know what I'm saying? The reason why I say the softball is because the next question should be, so wait a minute, let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that and I run down all the shit that I just ran down just now. You know what I'm saying? Can't get up a flight of stairs, can't finish a sentence or thought. You know what I'm saying? Like rambling this, rambling that, looking stiff as a board because he can barely walk. He has to be guided around and shit like that. Like he looked bad. So you got all of this going on. Like, so you knew that you was lying to the people and you're okay with that? That's the next question. If you really trying to, get somebody to get to the truth. And then the next question is, well, okay, so who was running the country then? If he clearly couldn't even run his own life, let alone be the commander in chief. So I asked for the last, whatever, at least 2 years, who's been running the country? Because it hasn't been Joe. But they just gonna allow little softball ass tosses, little softball, even though softball be zinging when you hit it. But yeah, at least a soft toss. You know what I'm saying? No type of hard ball, no type of curve ball. You know what I'm saying? No splitter, no nothing. And that's like, and that part has to be noted too, and paid attention to. Because I think she was giving J.D. Vance some shit, wasn't she?
Part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion, warped I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
And you know what? You are absolutely right, Madam Vice President. You are absolutely right. And again, it comes down to that. I'm seeing that projection shit because, how many motherfuckers did she lock up on some bullshit, trumped up charges, withholding evidence? A person was completely innocent, still serving time and all of that type of shit, and she knew about the shit, laughing at niggas. How many times? You know what I'm saying? Enough for it to be a problem. Right? So you're right. We do need somebody that's going to uplift and not knock down and lock up and all of that. You're right. You're absolutely correct. Know when a motherfucking toxic motherfucker speaks that whenever they say what you need, they're almost always, I guarantee it, talking about the other person that they admire or that they wish that the person who they wish they were. That's who they try to describe themselves to be. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? They steal character traits. You know what I'm saying? They steal that person's personality. They take, away from their mind and stuff and try to make it their own. You know what I'm saying? And they do that to match certain moments of life. And the fact that they're always bringing up Trump's name, lets me know exactly how much they're thinking of him. And if that's the case, however I know the narcissistic mind works, those character traits and all that type of shit, like, she's trying to become that, but like talking shit about him while saying exactly what the fuck he would do as far as like what he is, as far as, the leader that uplifts. You understand? As opposed to knocking down. Because to my knowledge, this motherfucker done help people invest in businesses and stuff over the many decades that he's been a businessman. You know what I'm saying? Negroes included. You want to talk about an uplifter?
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And
Yo, are your heartstrings pulled, America? And like, why? And this is my thing. Why do you have to announce that you're about to provide too much information? You only announce that when you know you're about to say some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You only saying that because what you about to say next, you're not responsible for where it falls type. Because you just gonna throw some shit up and hope it lands.
and he told me what he had decided to do. And
Oh,
I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you.
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was,
get the fuck out of here. Of course your first thought was about you, because if he'd have pulled out of this shit way earlier, there'd have actually been a primary where motherfuckers would have not wanted to pick you to run. You understand? But in order for this shit to work however they need it to, which me personally, I think they're bombing the shit on purpose so that whoever's put up next won't seem like they'll actually, what is it? Rise in the likableness and all of that shit, because what they're giving to us now is like, man, anybody rocking with this, like after listening to her, like I don't know what to say about your intellectual capacity.
About him, to be honest. I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Territorial integrity. I'm glad you said something about territorial integrity. So opening the borders and decriminalizing motherfuckers that are illegal, is that territorial, what did she say? I maybe forget what it was. Integrity.
And true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity.
So I'm pretty sure that that's not, improving the integrity of our territory by allowing people in here and taking money away from people. Now, again, whenever the process is done correctly, that's like because we got to do our shit correctly. You understand? You go out there, you buy a car, motherfucker, you better go get a license, you better get insurance, and you know what I'm saying, and you better do exactly how the fuck we say you need to do it, or we're gonna make you pay money for it, right? Because they can give you tickets down to your lights not functioning, so that's like your car can have a defect and you'll have to pay for it type shit. So we got to go through all of this shit, right? Got to work to pay this, work to pay that. You know what I'm saying? Some people do, get put on the Section 8 and all that type of shit, which, a lot of people do need, so I ain't gonna knock it. But at the same time, motherfuckers got to go through a certain process, and have to go through a lot. So you got illegal people over here reaping way more benefits, and causing chaos at the same time. Like, yo, is that strengthening, our territory at all? Is there any type of integrity? I would say not. I'm going to say not, because I'm a rational thinker, but, who am I?
And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments.
Ain't he like a damn documented crook in ways? I mean, 'cause the Joe I know ain't shit. You know, especially when you coming on saying you ain't black if you ain't voting for me. Like, what the fuck gives you that right to say that, for real, for real? Who gave you that right to say that? Not that little Indian Jamaican chick you got standing next to you whenever you saying it type. Like, no, that's not cool. And to say that man has character, you have no fucking character if you come out and say some bullshit like that. None. You know, but yet and still, you know, these people want you to think everything's cool, right? And this is who, you know, they really are. We ain't wavering from the direction that we're going in now.
Moments, aside, of course, from the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, you know, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is, talking about the era we're in, is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope.
I mean, in all fairness, there was a camera pointed, directly at him. So, I'm pretty sure that you were intending, to grab that moment and to make sure that moment, so it wasn't scripted in any way. I'm pretty sure, wink, wink, but if somebody has something to say about that part, yeah, I 100% agree. So all of the talking points, man, y'all are just, what else y'all got to
They hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender.
Is that like, is she there? Or is she watching her on TV? Like, is that a real picture? Cause that part don't look real. And then, where's everybody else at? Like, she just standing by herself at the convention? Like, I'm confused as to where that's even at.
Race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment, for all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking, and it's very humbling.
Yo, she's describing that picture like it is some bullshit, and you just trying to say what, like I said, who Like, where is she at? Like, was she there? Because, Tim Walz had the camera pointed front and center to his son. But now here we go. We get the back of somebody's head. We have no idea whose fucking head that could be. It looked like an Asian shaped type head, and like it could have potentially been Asian. So like, so that's believable, But at the same time, man, come on, man. This is what they give us. This is who they give us.
It's very humbling in many ways.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
Give you your hot takes?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now, just to sum up, because that was long, because I just kind of was going with watching it. Bottom line to it all is to not accept somebody's bullshit when they're trying to pander towards your emotions. They're trying to pander, getting want everything from you, but the only thing attached is emotion. Don't let a motherfucker get away with that. Don't let a motherfucker play to, because you see they just ended with, her, this little viral picture with her, great grandniece, great niece, whatever. And like I said, the shit looked photoshopped like a motherfucker. It almost feels like they put stupid shit out like this just to see how many people are going to be gullible enough to believe it. Because hell, enough people believe in the ball earth, so why not, put certain things out? But that's how they end, her first little time being, ask some questions. And, she was tap dancing like a motherfucker. She was tap dancing. Tap dancing, hot dogging, and bull jiving. Oh, man. Man, she was full of some jive, man. So yeah, man. Don't be swayed. Don't be swayed by your emotion behind this whole Kamala Harris pandemic. Because like all of the people who think that their rights are at risk and it's gonna be terrible for this, terrible for that. Like, they obviously don't pay attention because nobody gives a fuck about you. Like, low key, nobody cares about what you do. As long as you ain't bother nobody, for the most part, people don't care about what you do. But the problem is, in these people's situation, and I'm talking about, the extremely verbal, alphabet soup community. Like, they're always in your face type shit. And it's like, once you, almost daring you to say something because, of the, what do you want to call it? How easy it is to cancel a person or a situation, because of transphobia or homophobia and all of that type of shit. They've empowered that type of shit. Whereas, as regular folk, we just want it to be like, shit, we regular, you regular. You don't have nothing special, I ain't got nothing special. But what has transformed, because she mentioned something about Biden, Biden administration transforming some shit. They showed it transform, what a woman is. And that part of shit ain't cool. And Tim Walz's efforts in that shit is not, it's not cool. If people want to do it as adults and, that's the decision that they come to, all right, to each their own. But to actually force that shit on the kids, who ain't even been through puberty at this point, just getting to it, understanding, the body of, in their life and all of that. You know, they're not allowed to drive a car. They're not allowed to go vote. They're not allowed to smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, fly on a plane by themselves till they, what, I think 13, 12, either 12 or 14 or some shit. To be like officially by yourself when you ain't got nobody walking you from gate to gate. Like, the shit is low key sick, the agenda that they got. So don't let your emotion make the decision on, and it's not necessarily the vote, because I know, well aware, electoral college and all of that type of shit, but it's the mind state that goes with who's out there. It's the energy that a motherfucker exudes, when they do think and lean a certain way. So you don't want to be one of those people, that lean so far to that left that, you don't understand that the exact thing that you're screaming about is what you're denying to me as you're screaming at me. You understand? Which is the right to be heard, and the right to not be abused. There's nothing wrong with those, with those two things. The right to be heard, the right to not be abused, but yet and still, when it comes to that far leaning, to that left, that's all you seem to get when you disagree with whatever it is that they got to say. And then found a way to project that whole weird energy over to the Trump people, like which is like I said, yeah, pay attention to these motherfuckers with their bullshit about that bullshit, and this gives you a front row seat, and to understanding exactly like what it looks like when somebody's bullshitting you, and how to like hopefully distance yourself emotionally as you pay attention to what somebody says and does. So because all the shit she claimed to about to do, she could do. So fuck that. That's some bullshit. So yeah, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, Aunt Dana, whatever your last name is, all y'all bullshit is confirmed.